Dimp Digital presents Idle Game Chat.
Cool.
Here we are then, Idle Game Chat back in your life as we look to give you some impressions of video games that we've been playing lately. Got Mr. Adkins, not Adcock, here. Anything lately? Can't remember now. No? I actually can't remember. Empty-handed this year.
No, empty-handed.
Not even a Carabao Clop to take home on the farewell tour.
Get the bus out for that one.
Might do.
Grief.
He might do.
No, I haven't won anything. Nothing at all.
There's always that chance of that fantasy gaming league, that Grand Prix up
Yeah,
for grabs.
well, I don't know.
It's always a tough year.
After I got, it's a tough year. What did I get? What's my last absolute? Oh, South Park, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Snow Day got fucking shat on. Yeah,
62. And I was like, that's that done then.
Well, we'll see. I think there's a lot of people that are going to be taking us a low 70 or a 60. It seems like it's not like last year where...
No, we ain't getting 90 bangers week on, week out. It was a few. Was there? No, we did have a couple at the beginning of the year, didn't we?
Yeah.
With the likes of... I can't even remember now. What have we had?
Got the old Final Fantasies. We've had...
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We've had the old Dragon's Dogma 2, which I don't think got a 90.
No, what's that sitting on? 88, is it? Or 80?
Yeah, something like that. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Higher than what we're going to talk about, which is Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen.
Dark Arisen.
So this was a... let's have a look. Final Fantasy Rebirth's top with 93 on OpenCritic. That Balatro, that card game, on 91.
Oh, yeah, cool. Is that really? How many? Oh, is that one that's got about 8 reviews?
Yeah. No. It's actually no. I think it's got quite a few now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I remember it. Let's have a look. 47, so not quite 100.
Oh, right, okay.
Tekken 8, Last of Us Part 2 remastered, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, and they're the 90s so far.
Yeah.
So
mileage may vary. Was it them 2? Was Dragon's Dogma 2 and was it? Oh, Rise of the Ronin, but that didn't come out to stellar reviews, did it?
No, it didn't get fantastic reviews. Yeah, Dragon's Dogma in 87. That's still no shame. But yeah,
no.
We're here to say the original. Well, this is actually the enhanced port of...
Enhanced OG, the definitive way to play it, they said.
Yes. This was released, I think, in 2016, so we're banging on 8 years. I mean, I can only assume that you play this because you're thinking, right, Dragon's Dogma 2's lurking in the wings. Let's go back and get the lore. And I did read somewhere that I think the director said, you don't need to play the first one. They always say this. They said this about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. They said, you don't need to play remake or the original. I'm like, having played through it, you need to play the remake minimum. I don't know what they're talking about there. So they do lie. Yeah. But this chap was like, it doesn't matter in the second one because your character's got amnesia or some bollocks. And I was like... And actually, when you load the game up, like, obviously... bin the app up, it would be Dragon's Dogma 2. On the title screen, it just says Dragon's Dogma.
Oh,
so really? I don't know what they're playing at. But
no,
that's what he said. Adkins obviously ignored him because you can't trust these liars.
Off. Nah, I quite like seeing the changes they've made. Like I like to know what was in before. And if you go, that's a new mechanic. That's quite fun. And they go, they've been doing that since fucking day dot, mate. What are you talking about? So I do like to see those changes. And yeah, it's one. It's always been on the wish list. And I mean, it's going around for cheaper than a pint. Well, a lot cheaper than a pint these days. But I think you picked it up for like £2.89 or some sort of cheap business.
I mean, it's £3.83 at present as we record this. I mean, there's sales every other month on Steam, so you really can get this at a very low price. I actually won it in some Twitch giveaway. I've got it on Steam. Just haven't played it, and who knows? But at the end of this, maybe I will play it based on your recommendation. But so that was the reason, I guess. You sniffed around 2 and then thought, I'll get the lore in. I want to see how this goes.
made by the director of Devil May Cry, which I'm a big fan of. So,
yeah.
and I heard and I remember thinking, oh, he's supposed to be doing this RPG, and then it was a Capcom connection again there.
Lovely.
So I thought I'd give it a go, and it was a Steam Deck. It was, and then ended up not being. It was a Steam Deck, one of these games that I thought, oh, that'd be perfect to play on there.
Yeah.
And it was for the most part, but there's this little issue with it at the beginning where the title screen wouldn't come up because it's not verified. It's not a verified Steam Deck. So there's a few little issues, and it was just getting on one. It was it's nothing. It's probably nothing unplayable. No. It was just little niggles, and I was like, right. So I booted it up on the old 1440p killer, and it was just like, oh, that's the way to play it. So I sort of probably paid it about 30% on the deck and then 70 on the master rig.
Yes, that's the way to do it. Get this bit old, I guess. So I don't know if they go back and verify things. They're saying here on Steam it says it's verified now, so I don't know if they've added that.
Oh, is it?
I don't know if there's different gradings of verified might mean the real basics.
Well, a lot of the times when they're not completely verified, it could be anything from down to text. Text is too small, so you can't zoom in. Oh, yeah, it is verified. Yes, it was maybe, but it still had some issues. I reckon that must have been updated cause I did play this before 2 come out. So whether they've done that after 2,
might have done. Yeah, I mean,
possible.
It's some of the stuff that go back in and reconfigure at a certain level, but needs to say we've got a 30-70 split between Steam Deck. Is it an OLED?
OLED, baby.
OLED, yeah. And the old 1440p powerhouse on the PC. Cool. I'm going to read off the store page here at Steam. This is what they've got to say for it. So they're going to sell it to you. Set in a huge open world, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen presents a rewarding action combat experience. Players embark on an epic adventure in a rich, living world with 3 AI companions known as pawns. These partners fight independently, demonstrating prowess and ability that they have developed based on traits learned from each player. PC users can share these pawns online and reap the rewards of treasure, tips, strategy hints for taking down terrifying enemies. Pawns can also be borrowed with specific skills that are needed to complete various challenging quests. And then we've got dynamic combat experience. Cut off the 4 heads of Hydra, climb atop griffins and fight airborne, or defeat dragons and other creatures by finding out their weaknesses. Tons of content. That's actually how it's written. Includes all previously released DLCs, pre-order bonuses, retail exclusive, and the Dark Arisen expansion content. Features the highly praised combat experience and rich customization, plus a huge underground realm to explore with terrifying monsters. Customization options galore. 9 different vocations for players to choose from, and a variety of skills for each. Armor that can be upgraded and enhanced, plus pawn companions that can be trained to fit your desired combat style. Stunning visuals, beautiful high-res graphics with increased fidelity. Full Steam platform support includes Steam Achievements, Steam Cloud Saving, trading cards, leaderboards, big picture mode support, expanded control support, new achievements, That's how they're selling it at a base level. Are they selling it inaccurate? Or are they lying to us? I mean, I saw you pull your head a little bit funny with the old
with the visuals.
Stunning visuals. It's an old game. Well, it is. It's 8 years old, isn't it? So
yeah. Stunning visuals, I'll disagree with that. I mean, it's not an ugly game, but I suppose we have got to take in consideration when was the original release?
Yeah,
2012. So they've done the 2012, and then there's obviously been this newer version. I don't know if they buffed the graphics a little bit. It's certainly not an ugly game, but it is a dated game, so you do get spoiled. You know, now there's a high bar now, isn't there?
Yeah.
What else was say? Yeah, open world. Again, it's for quite small. Well, it is a smallish in comparison to most RPGs. But what was the phrase they said for the open world?
The phrase that they used for the open world was... I don't know if they used one, did they?
No, did they? That's so vast. Well,
Yeah.
basically, the open world, it was open, but fuck me, was it dreadful for an open world. That's one of its biggest traits. I'll go into more, was the access of the open world.
Interesting.
Probably would have preferred something more along the lines of Monster Hunter, which this game stinks of Monster Hunter.
Well, that's Capcom, isn't it? They just
It is
reskin.
Yeah.
Single player reskin of Monster Hunter.
But yeah, for the most part, that is pretty on the nose, to be fair, bar a few things. Yeah, what do you want to get into first? Because there's some good things, some incredible things, and some run-of-the-mill box standard things.
Well, let's start with, how long did you play? So, what, 20? I think 25 hours I've got here on your Steam. 24 hours, so a day's play. Was that, and how did you play it? Was this a breaknecker? Was it taking advantage of side quests? I mean, how does the...
So it was... It wasn't a breakneck, but it wasn't a full explore of everything. I mainlined most stuff. Like I mainlined it, but done every side quest that was available to me.
Okay.
The reason why it probably would have been longer had you not had I done it on an old console is what happens. Much like the Monster Hunter franchise, with this Dark Arisen, you get an armor set that sort of enhances you, so it's sort of like an easy mode, basically.
Interesting. What to start with? So at the gate, you can get this.
I didn't get it till about halfway through. I didn't realise that it was a thing until sort of watching a video where I was starting to struggle. I was like, cool, because it is quite a difficult game, to be fair.
That's one of its key pillars. Is
so I sort of, and it was one where you can go off and grind and stuff. And I did it for the most part, but got to a sort of 15 hours. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a bit of a fucking slopper. And then found that armor that you could get that and
just go off the beaten path to find that, or is it quest related, or is it just in
it's just in a chest.
Okay.
Yeah, just in a storage container. So basically, you have like a world. It starts off quite linear, but you have like these cities that you go to, and then they become like your sort of hubs. Like, do you remember in Monster Hunter where you'd get your quests? So you had like in every town there's like a quest board, and you go back there, and that's where you can do your upgrading of your like armor and your weapons and stuff. Yeah, so it's not fully reliant on the hub. You don't have to go back there, but that's where the main missions all start from, and it definitely has that Monster Hunter.
Yeah. Go back, prepare.
That's
head
it.
out.
Exactly that. Yeah.
So that was just found in a random storage chest.
Yeah, so it's in a storage chest, and I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And then realised how much the bloody stat boost was. And I was like, cool. And then once I put it on, I was like, well, I can't go back now.
Yeah, no.
So it became from like, oh, this is a bit too hard. I'm going to have to go off and do thing. But I was doing every sort of side quest that was there. And then I did a bit of the end. Well, I say the end game. It's not really the end game. It's one of these in true bloody Monster Hunter Capcom fashion. You got like an ending, and then that's not the end. You've still got another couple of hours before you get the ending, and then you have end game after that. So I got to
which has its own ending.
It has, I bet it does. Like, for God's sake. So I didn't get involved in there, but I felt after 25 hours, I was like, I've had enough of this one. I've got my feel for this, but I'm sure there's probably about 100 hours you could get out of this if you're that sick and twisted in the head.
So in terms of that armor, did it make the main quest too easy, or was it still a bit of a challenge? Like,
it was still a challenge. The further you got on, especially the bosses on this, it does have that sort of Soulsborne. It's certainly not a Soulsborne game, because there's no other mechanics. You don't die and you lose all your stuff or anything like that. But it's just that there are challenging enemies. The enemies have different phases. They're very much like the sort of monsters that you would attack. Like certainly in like some of the latter Monster Hunter bosses, where they'd be like multi-phased.
Yeah.
And it would take you an age to get them down.
Yeah.
So it certainly wasn't a walk in the park, but it wasn't, it was getting into the realms of like Bloodborne, bloody Elden Ring style, where it's like, this is just very challenging. And it was like easy enemies. It was just like areas you had to go to. The story was like progressing. And I was like, oh, right, so I'll just do this main mission. And I'll just hit a wall, it just go bang, and it would just be like a skeleton, and I'd be like, why is he so fucking hard? I just fought a bat a minute ago, and that was like, no problem, but now he's double hard.
Mr. Bones, he's really
Mr. Bones
been drinking his milk. He's too much calcium.
And we'll get into this thing, because this is by far the best part of the game, is the pawn system. It's got integrated pornographic images now. It's this pawn system, and then so like when they get killed, they like die, but
they're gone for good.
Well, they're gone for they do go for good. So they get down, and you can revive them. But if you've got a fuck hard enemy coming at you, they can down them. They do it again. They carry on downing them, and then they're gone for good. You're like, oh, Leroy, I loved him. Leroy, why Leroy? But. So I was like, right, this is fucking hard, and it was one of those games where I don't really have the time now to, sink these ridiculous hours into it. So I did have my breakneck mind into it, but so that armor definitely did help, and it was a bit like that Monster Hunt where sort of you wanted to get, it was going to be a long game, and that helps you to sort of get up to speed quick. But no, I wouldn't say it was made it a walk in the park, but it definitely did, turn it into a normal game, not
rather than having to grind,
rather than a chat. I weren't really up for a hard challenge.
No,
but
interesting. Is there any sort of interesting narrative or story or setup here?
That's like, this is one of those games I fully expected this game to be one of those RPGs where it's all about combat, all about the sort of the grind and all that, and the story sort of takes a bit of a backseat, much like Monster Hunter. You've got sort of the gameplay loop is the story, isn't it? And there you've got, there is a story, but no one's really playing Monster Hunter for its narrative, its liquid narrative.
No, not.
But this sort of does have a half decent, a decent. It has a decent narrative. The characters, there aren't too many. There's a few sort of, as it progresses in the game, but standout characters. But it's not really about the characters, because this is an RPG, and your own character, you're not voiced or anything, so it's one of those games where you sort of see it as yourself. And the side quests and stuff, it's it's along the lines of sort of Witcher, where the sort of side missions are fun and engaging. But the main quest was quite interesting. It's it does have a good narrative, and one that weren't expecting, to be honest. So I'd say it's above average for a story about that.
When you mentioned the side quests there, and you cited The Witcher, is there any choice and consequence to these, or is it like standard? You go and do the mission and come back, or is there sort of freedom to perhaps not do exactly as they say? Or
there is. There's only sort of 2 outcomes of each you can do.
It's not just cut and dry.
No, it's not cut and dry. No, there are. I believe there are multiple endings that you can get as well. It doesn't. You don't have.
Which one's canon?
Well, this is the question, isn't it? Yeah. But it's not like a sort of morality system or anything like that built into the game. Well, certainly not that I knew of, unless it was one hidden in the back door.
Yeah.
But certainly you could play around with your sort of your RPG elements and which sort of player you could be. So there's options you can take, but you're not met with like multiple options of what to respond either. In terms of conversations with characters, you're quite a quiet bloke. He's I can't even remember what I called, Sir Knob-a-lot or something. I called my. I love the names now. Just go for things, something like that. I went into there. I was like, right, this is proper dragon, and it just kept coming up as well, Sir Knob-a-lot, and I was like, this is brilliant. But yeah, it's not a full linear path. There are changes, but it's not Witcher levels of you've got options.
Bit of a dabble can be done there.
Yeah.
So you played it on the Steam Deck and also the PC.
Yeah.
What was the technical performance of this game like in terms of frames and any bugs, or sometimes these open worlds are littered with quest blockers or just issues? You're like, oh, I've got to reload a save and things like that. But generally, from a technical perspective, what's Dragon's Dogma? Because Capcom can be a bit hit and miss in this department.
It can, to be honest. But I think because this game is quite old, so it did come out, right, 2016, it came out on PC, and I'd say it's been out since 2012 OG on the PS3 and 360. So it was an old game. So, by today's standards, it's an old game. So it did run really well, to be honest. I think I did have a couple of crashes, and it was one of those ones where if you don't save, I believe there was an auto save,
but not to be relied upon.
Not to be relied on. So manual saves are a must. And I think there was a section where I went through quite a hard dungeon and died, and then it crashed, and I was like, I couldn't get back in, and so I just lost about an hour's game. I was like, for fuck's sake. Capcom. But there weren't too many crashes, to be honest. There was certain sections. There was like an area that I went to where it had sort of different environment. There's like wind or like a tornado in the background, and then the frames, I was like, gosh, struggling with that. Right. But I was playing that. Every now and again, kept bumping it up to 4K because it's an older game. It's like, you can deal with that. Yeah. But even if I can do, I always like to flick it down to 1440 and get them decent frames. Yeah. But it was constantly over 60. I was sort of running at a sort of 80, 90 or something like that. So smooth transition. There were some sort of like weird bugs on that Steam Deck. Again, I'm guessing this is if it was. I'll have to double check when that was verified. But like I say, every time you boot it up, there was like this intro video, and that weren't working. I was like, what's going on here? So that used to annoy me. And then it's quite finicky when you get overpowered by characters. That little handheld controller can get snarled up. I've noticed that playing that Sifu on there, when you've got like a really intense controller game, they're not ideal for the Steam Deck. You can get a third-party controller and get it on the Bluetooth. Yeah. But when you've got a big fucking handheld in your hand and you're trying to get down to the nitty-gritty, them Steam Decks ain't the one for that, really. No. So that's why I switched over. But no, performance and the graphics, like I say, they're fine. But I mean, this is an old game, so in today's standards, you ain't getting no 4K ultra bad boy textures, but certainly not an ugly game. No.
So you mentioned that it's kind of got this open world, but it's also got these hubs that you keep going back to, or these towns or cities, these sort of places. How does the kind of structure kind of work at a base level? Like an example, like you start the game, sort of get out the intro phase. It's like, right, you've got a quest.
That's it.
From A to B, and it might be, I don't know if it's across the map or whatever. Is that?
It is.
Is it going back and forth? Is it always return to that initial area, or do you go to them, set up a new sort of town? You're like, oh, this is my new sort of hometown here. We're going to move further along the map.
That's it. So it basically does go further along the map. So you have the intro, and you start off in a little town. And then the further you do a few missions in that town, and then progressing on the story, you're sort of going off to the next town, basically. Take the story progresses you to the next town, and then there's, I think it's about the third one, that's sort of the main town where the rest of the story sort of continues, and that's where you're going from there. But the trouble is once you start these missions, once you've done the town missions and the side quests, and it tells you to do a lot of the side quests, or not even progressing once you've not reached any more towns. It's telling you to go to these dungeons, which are fucking miles into the distance. Right. And there is there's not a fast travel. There's a very, very, very limited fast travel. Yeah. And I know you're not one for fast traveling. But fuck me, when you've got nothing but your 2 legs and that pace that you run, you've got a stamina system as well.
Yeah,
So
okay.
you can't auto sprint to your destination. Honestly, it was taking me 10-15 minutes just to get to one objective. And then you're getting snarled up on the way with fucking bandits and God knows what.
And were these like places you'd already visited, or was you always going to a new place?
It was mainly new places, yeah. What happens, I think it's another thing that he added in this Dark Arisen package, with your trusty armor, there is also a permanent fast travel thing where you can put that in the map where you wanted to go.
Right.
You can find, I think there's only about 4 or 5 in the whole game that you can find. That was like the original thing, and you can put them where you want to. But it was a job trying to find where to put them, because the map's completely sort of is like a fog of war type thing. So the further you go, the more you explore. But I'd say I've been sent to go and deal with a dungeon. I'd go fucking miles, take about 10-15 minutes to get there. And you're like, for fuck's sake. Then when I place one there, go back to the town. You can fast travel to the town, thank fuck. But once you think, oh, right, well, at least that's out there. And then the next mission will be the other side. You'll be like, oh, for fuck's sake, so you don't even go that way. But by the end, I sort of had them strategically placed where I could bear enough. But there's still places I had to go, and it was like a 10-15 minute hike. And like, you're screaming for a fucking horse in this game. I was like, please, just give me an horse.
Give me something.
Get me around. Give me something. That fucking griffin I just attacked. I'll fly on that bastard. And that was quite fun. Like that you probably could. I don't know if you can, but you had elements of Shadows of the Colossus in this. You can actually mount the enemies. So that would be a brilliant thing to do if you could implement that into your fast travel. But this game was screaming out for a mount. That it was its biggest downfall, and the traversal. It's part of the fun, I suppose, like what I was saying, that sort of Skyrim fallout of not fast travelling and going, right, I'll just wander over to here and stumbling across stuff. Yeah. But there's not really, this is quite a barren wasteland, to be honest, but a barren open world, aside of the main cities and the odd dungeon. There's bollocks all that you're coming across. You'll just stumble across a group of bandits, a gaggle of geese or werewolves or something like that, wolves, fucking toads or whatever. You're not coming across, oh, what's this little thing over here? It's not much. There's a few bosses in the open world, like sub bosses type thing that you can get engaged with. But for the most part, it is just these objectives that you go into. This isn't a living, breathing world.
No. When you run into enemies en route to something, is it always the same? Or is there some sort of dynamic? Can random enemies or patrols or things can you bump into like random?
No.
I was saying, if you did the same journey, would you have the same?
Yeah,
sort of
you do, because I remember going to the same place a couple of times and thinking, right, I know these bloody little goblins on the right hand side, and they're always there. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if the little sub bosses, because you get these sort of mythical beasts like the Hydra. And there's like a lion with a snake for a tail and a goat on his back. Oh. I don't know what that was called. Stuff like that. But you can bump into these just in random places. I don't know if they're always there or if they do just sort of chuck one in just to fucking snarl you up. You're like, here you go, deal with that. But yeah, there's certainly no dynamic, randomly generated enemies chucked in it. You don't then get some random big boy turn up and you go, oh fucking hell, now I've got to deal with him. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty scripted, to be fair, and yeah, you do start to learn your patterns. Certainly as well, there's a lot of these repeatable missions that you get on these quests, like go and kill 25 goblins. So it's handy for stuff like that. You think, well, I know where they are, so I've got to go that way anyway. So that will give me a bit more loot, get my cash up so I can buy a better sword, stuff like that.
So is there quest markers for the main mission, or just and for submissions, or does it depend on what the mission type is? I'd say if you've got to kill 25 goblins, it won't show you where the goblins are. You've got to just find them.
No, so the other thing with this as well is you can only have one quest at a time. So you can't go right, unless you know in your head where you're going and you think, well, I'll go to there first, but then you don't know what the mission is. So you don't know if you're going to be staying in that area. So what I was doing was sort of getting to doing the main mission until it started to take me out of that area, and then trying to clear down as many side missions as I can before pissing off of that area. But yeah, there was lots of it. It was like, so you can only have one active at a time. You can accept all these missions, as many as you like, and you can go through them one by one. But yeah, you only have one quest mark, and it will just give you. It was just literally a little dot on the map, and you're like, right. So, and this is like a fog of war type thing. So there's just a dot in the distance. So you don't know how to get there.
No, the path might be a path you can't get there.
You're just following the road, and a lot of the time I go, well, I'll just head, southeast, and I'll come against a mountain. I'll be like, well, I ain't getting over that bastard. So. So I just had to take routes round, and then I was like, right, so I'm over here now, and then my other one's over there. So you can't make a journey. You're taking one-trip journeys. This is why that mount was so needed, really, because you could just go, well, I'll do it there, then I'll switch to there and go over there, but you're not. So you're going from there, and because you're in the middle of nowhere and you don't know how to get that, it's not an easy connection to the next main mission. I was just having to fast travel back to the main city and then going north or whatever. So yeah, it was a bit of a ball ache with that, but yeah, especially when you're in that clear down mentality and you're like, right, I just want to clear down all these missions, things like that.
Makes it difficult.
Yeah.
I know there's a day-night cycle in this, and like the night can affect certain elements of your party and your characters.
Fucking skeletons.
Is that when they come out? Is it certain?
They come out. So you get like the dark goblins and the skeletons, and it did seem to be the much harder enemies come out at night.
Yeah.
But it didn't really change much to the ways of like the story or the mission or anything. It just was that. If you were going out, there were a couple missions that you had to go at night time.
Okay.
So
can you change the time of day? Like, can you camp somewhere and like skip to the evening?
Yeah, you can wait. Yeah. I think it's like a campsite thing you can do. But yeah, for the most part, I think I was like, the trouble is everything's so fucking dark, and if I'm playing this game during the day, you're like, oh, what's that?
I've heard it's a dark game in night.
Yeah, it is very. So you're like, oh, fucking, I can't. So I could hear stuff that was like wolves and fucking bandits. And I was like, right. So yeah, I sort of did the missions and then just skipped to the day, and I was like, that's better. Lovely sunny day. I can see now.
Yes. Is there? I think I remember reading something about if you go on once you leave the town and go on, to your next main mission or go on a big journey, that is like your stamina and stuff will start to take a bit of a toll during the journey. Is that nonsense, or is there like effects that happen if you're traveling longer, like if you stay out in the world before coming back to recharge or something? Yeah,
there is like a rest system. So when you get back to the town, if you have to pay to go in these bloody inns, and once you do that for you and your party, you get like a fully rested buff.
Oh, okay.
And you can get stuff like. There's like these debuffs that you can get, and I think it's like you get poison or something, or if you eat something dodgy, if you need a little stamina boost, you can eat like meat that's gone off.
Yeah.
And it says in like the lore that's in like some of the descriptions and stuff are brilliant. It's like, oh yeah, with this bit funny meat. Be wary of eating this. I wouldn't suggest it, but it gives you like a nice stamina boost. So I was like, "Fuck it, go on then." And then you see your characters be like, "Oh," and then forever that's like a drain. You've got like this slow drain on your fucking on your stamina. So and the only way you can get like aids that get rid of that completely, or a full night's rest.
Get aids? Excuse me.
A full night's rest will get rid of that permanently. But there was these sort of debuffs. There was one fucking debuff I got. It was like a fucking some enemy that gave it to me, and it was like just turning me into stone. Like just slowly, and you're literally going like. But it was like a full Medusa fucking It's turning into stone, and to the point that there's no way out of it. You just
dead.
you're dead. Yeah.
Supposed to reload before you got hit with that ailment. And,
it just takes you back before that encounter, thank God.
Yeah.
But if you was in that dungeon where it weren't doing no autosave and you had that, you'd be like,
fuck's sake.
Because there is no... once you get hit with that, you are fucked.
Oh.
As far as I'm aware.
Let's talk about the combat then, because this is the kind of bread and butter of the experience. You cited a few different kind of influences for this, whether it be Shadow of the Colossus and whatnot. But what kind of build did you put together? Were you magic? Were you melee? What did you go for? And how did the combat kind of play out?
The fucking beauty of it. You can change this on the fly for yourself, but this pawn system... they call them vocations in this game. So you've got your different. So my character was just like your standard sort of brawler build, standard soldier, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Sword and shield. But what it has is it has like these. It's a hack and slash game. Obviously, you can you have like your main attacks, but all you also have is the further you progress, you unlock these abilities. So you have like these special attacks that once you build up your stamina gauge, once you've got full stamina, you can do these sort of powerful moves. Or you can like fling, like I had with my shield, I could like fling one of my little companions, I could fling him up in the air and then they could land on the enemies. Or I had this like special like sword where I could get some lightning on it and turn it onto fire.
Yeah.
But you can mix and match with this. So when you take on these pawns, these are, like you said, these computer controlled companions that are made by real world characters that are then like placed, and they're like based on how they play.
Yes.
They have like a rating system. It was such a fun, cool idea. And basically what they did, they don't level up whilst you do. So the beauty of it is where you're leveling up, you then get a few levels ahead. Your companions are now out leveled, so they're dying easier. So you're constantly switching them out, and you have a plethora of ones to choose from. So you can constantly change. So you got like, I think you had like your mage, your assassin, which is like a knives person that's really quick and agile. Yeah. Then there was like a long range character. I forget, it was like a what was it called? Ranger, that's the one, Ranger. Yeah. So you know your long distance bows, sorcerer as well. So you can, and these all sort of connect together. So if you've got like a sorcerer that's got magic, they'll like send magic to your weapons, and so your sword will be on fire. If you've got like these ice enemies and stuff, it will just instinctively do it. It was like, God, this is brilliant. And you can you have your main companion that you have. What they call it now, but yeah, there's like a main character, and you can change his vocation as well if you get bored of that and you're not thinking. So, but I always had mine as a mage, because every time I was a brawler, every time I'd come into this battle, then I'd have this. It would just be like, right, what do you need? Bang, and it would just send me, let's put my sword on fire and give me extra damage and stuff. It was fucking brilliant. And then
you don't have to tell him to do that. Like,
they can do this all.
And can you instruct them to do things? Or
yes, you can. Yeah, you can carry stuff as well. Because another big, this typical RPG, you're constantly running out of fucking weight.
Space,
inventory space and weight. You get over encumbered. So just poor old Larry, he had to deal with it. So Nobalot was just unloading all his toot on him. And the other thing I didn't realise is I was unloading all my toot on some of the pawns as well. And then they die, and I was like, I forgot about that. So
you lose it.
You lose all your shit. Yeah, you'd be like, oh fuck. But so I'm constantly picking up. What they do as well is they auto pick stuff up as well. So if you're wandering across the world, and there's like weapons, and you can make potions and stuff out of like plants and trees. So you're like walking along, picking stuff up.
Yeah.
Looting, and they'll just pick that up and start making stuff automatically already. It's nice. It's brilliant. But yeah, the pawn system, being able to pick them out, and that you can pick them up to free, like to your level. So say I was like level 20, and then I got to 22, 23. And my ones, you can release them. You go into this realm where they all are, and they're all walking about, and you can pick up to your level, so 23.
Yeah.
for free, but there's also like an in-game currency that you can then spend if you want to buy one that's sort of further leveled up.
Yeah.
And then you can pay extra, and then you ain't got to faff around, and they'll be absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
But
Did you do
that does
that?
come. I didn't actually. No, I didn't. It did come at a heavy price. They were quite costly. I mean, there's like leaderboards
And they can
rankings,
die.
and they can die. Exactly. Yeah. There's leaderboards and stuff, so you can pay for like the top daddy. You're like, oh, I'd love to do that just to see him just mop up and one hit fucking bosses and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, combat was by far it was really good. It was the way they had done it. Like I say, the standard hack and slash is perfectly fine, but it really was the sort of combination of these special attacks that you just kept like sort of increasing. You had these different perks and buffs and stuff that you could add to your party, the customizations that you could make to your companion and the things you could do him to, and the combination of just the constant switching of the pawns. It was just such a cool system, and surprised no other games have sort of nicked that and gone, yeah, we'll have some of that.
Yeah,
because it is quite fun.
Is there any indication on the enemies as to what level they are, or do you just find out by dying and think, oh,
No, they have like health bars, so you'll chip away and you'll be like, fuck here now, this one. No, I don't even think it comes up with like the red. Maybe
I assume there's no area, level or anything like that.
There's no area level, so you don't. Like I say, I was in one dungeon where I just mauled a fucking bat and no problem. Walked round the corner, a load of skeletons come out of the ground, and I was like, oh, fucking hell. And then we just all got wiped out. And I was like, brilliant, that's great. So yeah, went off and done as much as I could, and then was like, come back, and I was like, oh, it's still not. This is a fucking hard game.
Yeah.
So that's why I found that armor was just like, right, well, this is going to get me through now.
Yeah.
And yeah, so no, there's no indication. That's the thing. This is very bare bones. There's no indication of where you're going. There's no waypoint system. It's dot on the map.
Yeah.
Get your fucking way there, boys. Off your trot. No, you ain't got a donkey to take. On you go. On your trot, boys. Yeah,
exactly. Before you got this armor that kind of put you in like a good position, was you upgrading or buying new armor up until that point, trying to strengthen your character?
Yeah, so every mission you get like a currency and an XP boost, and then basically each time you sort of progress, but basically pretty much every mission you can come back to your town and hub, and it will say like the merchants have got new equipment, so then you go there. You can then upgrade your armor and stuff as well, weapons and stuff. There's not a whole lot of loot really. Like they drop a few bits, like some of the big enemies, but the sort of cannon fodder, they don't drop nothing that's worth picking up in terms of like armor and stuff. So yeah, I was upgrading and doing as much as I can, but you really do. There's so many repeatable missions, so it is quite a grind. If you was to play this, how it was intended, it is a very much in Capcom Monster Hunter. It's a very grindy game.
Yeah.
And that's why I really weren't feeling the go and kill 25 fucking donkeys to get a little tiny bit of XP. But that's what the game is intended, you to go grind your fucking arse out, and then you can carry on upgrading. But you have to do a lot of that. And like I say, there ain't no waypoints. It's go and find 25 of these. Sometimes there was these missions I was taking, and it was like, go and kill a huckleberry donkey. I'd be like, what the fuck's that? I wouldn't even know what these were. I was like, and I had no clue where they were either. It was just, you just randomly encounter, and then all of a sudden I'd go onto a mission list and be like, oh, I've killed 5 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been them. Okay, right. So then you sort of remember where they were, and you'd have to go through that way. But yeah,
is there any sort of like journal that keeps like enemy intel, and a lot of these games these days have got a codex that you can go back and check and whatnot.
Does
it have things in there like enemy weaknesses that store anything like that, or again, do you have to find out and then just remember off the top of your head that that one's allergic, that one's allergic to fire or whatever?
Yeah, I do believe it does. Yeah, and I think the more you kill, the more sort of information that it gives to you. Yeah, there is like a big journal that you have. Yeah, because that's part of the mission. Some of the missions is to fill that out. By killing out. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's just by killing them or collecting some of their parts.
I think God of War had a similar thing, and it's like codex in that journal. Like you'd kill like 10 of them, then it'd unlock like another bullet point of like, oh, they've got a ranged attack that you can only dodge, and it slowly starts to roll out like little tips and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's it. But yeah, that and then with the what's it called with your companions, they 9 times out of 10 they'd be like, "Fuck it, you need fire, do it for you."
Yeah.
But yeah, there is that sort of law helping system.
Yes. Any other business? Anything that you feel like we haven't touched upon, or that's important to Dragon's Dogma? Dark Arisen.
The bosses, the bosses are brilliant. Yeah, you really did. It was like I said, you stumble across a few in the open world, but the main ones where it was like, right, this is the boss fight. Like I say, they were multi-layered, and every boss is mountable.
Okay.
It wasn't like there was one that was very Shadow of Colossus, and it had like spots on it. I can't remember what it was now, some sort of troll or something. But it had like parts on it, so you had to climb onto it to get those parts on it. And I was like, cool. They're not the scale of Shadow of Colossus, but there was some big bastard bosses, and yeah, some of them are just lengthy.
Yeah. I assume there's no like mid-boss checkpoints or phases, so you go back to the beginning.
There was one in one of them, because one was like, honestly, a couple of hours long. I was like, shit. Oh. But yeah, the not end game, but I say mid to late game. So you've done the story, and then I think it said in that synopsis there, the spiraling dungeon.
Yes.
Basically, there's this like area that you go to, and it is just literally a massive spiral. That you go down and down, and each level has a different dungeon. Those were really cool. That was. I suppose it was implemented into the main game, but technically people could have clocked off by then.
Yeah.
And go like, because I was like, have I done the game? And I was like, I haven't had credits yet. I was like, And then, because it felt like it was the end of the game.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I'll just mop up these side quests. And then I was like, but then that was the thing. There was no indication of where to go. It wasn't until you went to this area that the story continued. And you're like, right, fucking hell, there's a whole nother bit of story.
And that's not Black Bitter Isle. That's not the...
No, that's not. No, I went there because that was like a side mission at the beginning. I guess it's where they've added that in.
Yeah.
A bit like on Fallout when you get a new DLC. It goes, go here. So I thought it was a side quest. So I went to that Black Bitter. And that's a completely different area. It takes you get on a boat and it takes you to a new isle. And yeah, got there, walked in, I was like, this is cool, right? First enemy, back dead. Hang on. And it was like ridiculously hard. I'll be interested to go back there now, actually, now that I've sort of completed the game and leveled up a fair bit, and see if I can make my way through it. But yeah, I went there like within the first 3-4 hours or something. It was like, just swiftly got my ass handed to me. But that sort of mid to late end game that was this spiraling dungeon fest was quality. It was awesome. Like you literally go through these dungeons, you didn't know what was going to come, and they typically ended with some fucktard boss that you got to climb on. And these are all like multi-layered. You've got like health bars. They have like the health bar, and then these like spots of how many health bars, and some of them had like 6 or 7. Dragons, and like I said, there's 4 of you chipping down, so it's nice. Like you never sort of felt lonely. There's no missions where it's like, right, you're on your own now, Todd. You've always got your companion and 2 of your pawns, but they're constantly dying because they're just like get wiped out. So you're wiping asses a lot, certainly if you haven't got them leveled up and give them, because you can give them your weapons and stuff as well.
Right, I see.
So if you like find a new weapon and you think, oh fuck, as long as they can accept it, you've got ones. If you're like you've got a mage with you, you can't give them your sword. They have to have a staff and stuff. But no, those boss fights, they were fucking brilliant. To be fair, they were the meat and potatoes of going through these dungeons and the different sort of style of them and stuff. It really made it epic as well. Like it wasn't like a very very minimal cutscenes and very minimal sort of set pieces, but the boss fights, that was their set pieces, and that it sort of made them into this was the daddy of the game.
Interesting that they just sort of hid that almost.
Yeah.
Like, most people might have just finished and gone, oh, I've done it. And I guess there are no credits for this.
Yeah. Much like, what's it called? Well, I suppose in Monster you do get some sort of credit, and then you go, fucking hell. Just carries on and on and on until you complete the big bastards right at the end. But yeah, this sort of mopped up the story and then had this bit that then carries on to another ending, and then I don't know. I'm not sure if that bit of Isles has an ending or like a cut, or if it is just literally a bollocks hard dungeon.
Yeah,
we might have to go back and investigate. But
look, see.
Yeah, but no, that certainly when I got there, it was just more end. I think it's a lot. Like I say, it's a very grindy game. For people that want to go into this and, you know, just play to the heart, then do every single repeatable mission, getting harder and harder and increasing your armor. It does get to a point where that armor that I had, that special armor that come with Dark Arisen, will be outdated, and you have to get part of the grind. That's certainly. I'm pretty much at that point now where it's, you know, by the end boss, I was struggling. It worked, like I say, it wasn't a walk in the park. It was a hard fucking mission, the last one, and yeah. So I think if I went into that black bitter, I'll be back on the grind and having to go through it, playing the real way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I enjoyed my time with the game. It certainly comes with it. It's not, you know, the be all and end all RPG. It has some great things about it, some things that I want to see in more RPGs.
Yeah.
And some absolute howling things like the traversal, the absolute. Give me a fucking mount. I don't know if there is mounts in that new one. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Actually, I've not looked at it. I think it's. I don't know. I think that's still part of the feature, not a bug. As in, we've made the game intentionally.
Yeah, intentionally
difficult to traverse and part of the experience.
I don't mind it if it's going to be like a sort of Fallout thing where I'll go here and I'll get sidetracked. But because you don't have waypoints like that, or you don't have missions, like you can't pick up a mission whilst you're already out. You have one mission there. Yeah. You pick up your side quest. So if I could go out and go, well, this is going to take me 10 minutes to walk this way, but I'll pick something up on the way and I'll come across something. That doesn't really happen. You have one mission that you're going to. You go there for your main mission. So I wouldn't mind if it was structured like that. But the fact it was go here and enjoy a 10-minute walk past coming across a few enemies.
Yeah.
I was like,
not a nice stroll, is it?
No, that's it. Not a walk in the park.
Interesting. So anything else before we close out and do the needful? Any other small comments or things that you've missed or
no
crap on it for? It's just one thing. You mentioned you get 2 pawns and a companion. I might have switched off and not listened. The companion is with you throughout the whole journey. Can't die?
Can't die, no. Can be downed, but can't die.
And levels up with you on your
levels
adventure.
up with you. So
and that companion goes into the pawn pool. So if I played it, I might stumble across your...
Yes, so that's the one that you can pick up. Yeah, that's the one that gets put into the pawn section.
Yeah.
But you
into
can...
the hub.
That's it, yeah. But you can literally change. Very good. Yes. You can change, his vocation or her vocation whenever you want. Their vocation, whenever you want, and you can switch out their armor. You can dress. I think there's even an achievement for dressing them as a lady. Have a man vocation, man companion, chase them. But you can do anything like that. On the fly, well, not on the fly, sorry, at the town, at a cost.
Yeah.
But you really can just change it up. And then, then the other 2, you can pick what you get, but once they are there, you can't change them. You can, like I say, transfer items to them.
Yeah.
But, you can't be changing any of their stuff, and you can't change their look or anything like that. The voices there, you can get like a really high squeaky voice of one of them. I was giving them to him. It's hilarious. But yes, it did remind me of like Oblivion, like some of that was probably the one to its downside when you sort of conversations with characters and NPCs and stuff.
They repeat the same old shit.
Stoic fucking stuff. There was a lot as well with the mission structure as well. A lot in the main missions when you were going to them, sometimes you couldn't finish those missions, and it wouldn't tell you why. There was very minimal hand holding in this game.
Yeah.
It would just tell you to go off and do other missions until something would happen, and then you'd further be able to progress your mission.
Yeah.
So it would say, speak to this bloke, and you'd be like, go there, and be like, well, he's there, but he's not responding to it. And then it will come up with a mission. Well, go off and do something else and come back in another couple of days. And then it would something would happen, and then you're allowed to do it. So there's a lot of it you are scratching ass going, what am I supposed to be doing here? And I suppose it's built for that because you're supposed to be going off and doing this grind and stuff.
Yeah.
Just going off killing 25 donkeys. There's no donkeys in the game. I don't know why I keep saying donkeys. It's goblins, zombies, bandits.
Yeah.
Bats. I don't know what it's very
dragons.
Typical dragons. Dragons Dogma. The dragons are fucking wicked in this game.
Yeah,
it's called Dragons Dogma for the point of it. But no, I think we've covered everything. But the pawn system, combat system, outstanding, brilliant. Should be implemented in every RPG.
Yes.
Traversal. Get me a fucking donkey to ride.
Get me a big griffin that you could like tame.
Yeah, see that would be fucking perfect because they do the ones that you come out into the open world. They will sometimes just fuck off. You'll be like, you'll chip away a bit of their health, man, and they'll just fuck off, and you're like, oh. So if you've got to hold on to them and you can fly and drop, even you'd fall down and die instantly.
Parachute.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it needs, a parachute, Jobby. What I'd quite like to, I'm not sure if it is and like the online companions, I wonder if they did them connecting online and you had actual online people. I don't know if you can. I never got involved in that.
No.
But it's quite nice having not real people to have to deal with because they'll probably fuck off.
I think it's AI only. I don't think there's any co-op or you can't do like summoning like souls. I think it's AI only.
Fair play. They probably would hit you because they would just fuck off and do something else. And
exactly.
Oh, mummy,
Keep down themselves. Let's do the need for them. We're outside the Dimp Digital Gaming Gallery. We know it won't go into the botchling bin because you've finished it and rolled your credits. Didn't have to throw it away. But does it earn a place into the gallery, or are we going to put it in self-storage? Big Yellow self-storage, not sponsored. Actually, they still running. They
are still running. Okay. My brother had one. They're £280 a month.
What?
For one little thing that's probably about the size of you. Probably a bit smaller than your shed, I'd say. Mental.
That is madness. So we can either take it into the gallery and give it a nice grading or award, a platinum, gold, silver, bronze, or you can chuck it in self-storage outside and people can have a look if they want. I mean, that sort of rent, I might have to rethink where we're storing these other games because that's absurd amounts of money.
No, Dragon's Dogma does deserve itself to go in that gallery.
Lovely jubbly. And as I mentioned, you can award it with a platinum, gold, silver, or bronze. What are we going to go for Dragon's Dogma? Dark Arisen on PC.
Dark Arisen gets itself a respectable silver.
Lovely jubbly. Earns itself a spot there. So that's the Dragon's Dogma, the OG dealt with.
Yeah, OG. See, I think I'm going to go into 2 now. I think I'm going to go in grind expecting in number 2.
Yes.
I think that with this, like, I don't regret playing it the way I did. Because I still experienced the game. I played enough of it, but I'd be interested to go in when you play a Monster Hunter, you're going in for the grind. And this one was like a game. This is typically the sort of game like yourself. I probably would rather just watch a YouTube video of this. This would be quite a boring game to watch, I'd assume. I think the playing of it is the fun part and picking these sort of pawns and the switching in and out of that. The actual box standard missions, there's not a lot of variety. You're literally going from one place, killing a load of enemies and go. It would be quite a boring watch, this game. So that's why I thought, well, let's just get through this to get this lore, get this understanding of how this game works. Number 2, I was going to buy it, but the state of how it's running, I think I'm much like yourself. I'm thinking of maybe waiting for this PS5 Pro.
Yeah, it's a
seeing
tricky
what
one.
that's up to.
So that is on the menu then, the second one, based off the back of this.
Off the back of this is lining me up for number 2. Like I say, I was half tempted to get it, but just looking at what I've seen so far, it completely on a technicality side, on the technical side, it's not up to snuff.
I am tempted to dive in on PC, but I've just come off the back of Rebirth, which 101 hours pumped in. I need some more palette cleansers just to fill out.
This is it.
I can't, because I come off the back of Cyberpunk. That was another 80 odd 90 hours.
Yeah. Not to those levels, but after this, I played this straight after 70 odd hours of Final Fantasy 16.
Yes.
And then, so again, that's why I think my brain went, well, I don't want to be playing this for 100 hours of grinding. No. So I'm going to take the cheap way and go through it just to get the just to make sure I was interested and not to go, this certainly isn't for me. No. But no, it's definitely, I haven't watched any of the Netflix
I was going to ask about that.
It's like an anime. Yeah, no, I haven't.
I don't think it reviewed that well, but I think it's like 8 episodes, like 20 minutes.
Right. So it's
like a small investment, Yeah,
like I say, there is a decent story, and my boy, I forget his name, but the chap that made DMC, Albert DMC. No, not my boy.
What's his name?
Boy, Hideki Itsuno. Yes. It's a no from me.
It's a no
who done Devil May Cry? Yeah, he's good. He's good for these crazy ass stories, and this does have a Japanese sort of feel to it. You can tell it's a Japanese RPG. And I'm interested to play too, but as soon as that technical side of it, I don't think my 1440p will cut the mustard anymore. I think I have to make a cut there.
Yeah. I don't think it's flawless on PC either. You might be able to brute force it with like a Salmon 4090 supercomputer, but I've seen that even people with decent rigs, like it's still not.
I see one with a 3090 struggling. I was like,
that's a concern. So I'm definitely keeping an eye on it. See if that PS5 Pro. I think there's an unlocked frame rate mode in the pit and on the console versions.
Is there? Oh, that's interesting.
Meaning that if we get one with a higher overhead, it might just be enough to get it up to 60, but it's going to have to be a wait and see.
Yeah,
it's funny you mentioned about wanting to like sort of play it and have like not having the armor there to give you that boost. Because very much what happened with Monster Hunter World for me is I came in late, didn't really have to do any of the grinding because it gave you that armor. I mean, I could have chose to do it, but I was like, I'm not up for this.
Exactly.
And it wasn't until I bought the Iceborne DLC, the expansion, where there was that sort of crutch wasn't there for me anymore. I had to go out and play it, and I was like, I'm learn. It's like a whole different layer to this game.
Exactly, yeah.
Going out and getting specific parts for specific armors and whatnot. And I was like, okay, it ain't a breaknecker. You've got to take your time and work your way through it as intended.
Yeah, that's it. That's how I feel for that. So I think that this has given me the oomph to do it now. Now I've set the foundations of one. 2 deserves a full grind fest. I'm not sure if it's. I assume it is as grindy. I've not really looked at things, but typical Capcom fashion.
By the time we get to it, there'll probably be a new armor set out.
Yeah, probably will be like, oh, go on then.
Max level armor, there you go. Get through it. There's a new DLC coming, but there we go. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen earns itself a silver in the Dimp Digital Gaming Gallery, courtesy of Mr. Adkins. We're going to close down for this particular episode of Idle Game Chat, and as usual, nothing more for us to say other than thanks for your time and ta-da.
This was a Dimp Digital production.
So, it's Logan here. Recently, having played through Spider-Man 2 on my PS5, doing a short review to tell you my thoughts and where I think it sits. So, it took me a little while to get around to this game. Don't know if I'd say I was putting it off, but I think because I'd played Spider-Man and then Miles Morales in quick succession at the end of 2023, I wasn't super keen to get involved in this straight away, but borrowed Spider-Man 2 off Adkins, and took me a little while to get into it, but started to enjoy myself. I think my perspective, for some reason, I thought this game was going to be shorter than it was, and I think that impacted my playthrough. I think I was constantly expecting the game to come to an end quicker than it did, and the story just never seemed to get there. But if you liked, broadly, my thoughts are, if you like Spider-Man and Miles Morales, this is more of the same in a lot of respects. Some difference around the abilities that you get to use, and you get to switch between Miles and Peter, which is, I think, quite cool. I quite liked that element of it. I enjoyed the story. Probably didn't really hit the highs. I felt like Miles Morales' story was a bit more impactful. I felt like this one was a little bit far-fetched at times and wasn't always hitting the high notes that I'd kind of expected. Still found frustration. I thought they'd take out the stealth missions, but they're still there, so that kind of always hits on the downer for me. And also had a few technical issues with this game, a few crashes and things that were usually after quick resume that I'd kind of assumed would be ironed out by the time I played it, but were still there. Overall, though, thoroughly enjoyed my time playing this, cleared everything down in the end, did a lot of the side stuff. I think I only had a couple of trophies left to get. But this game does go in my gallery. I will be giving it a silver. It was very close to getting gold, but I think didn't quite enjoy myself as much as I did Miles Morales, and those kind of technical issues where it crashed weighed it down for me. So overall, very, very good game. Enjoyed it, and it gets a silver.